Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So this is my vlog series as I edited Survivor. It was a lot of work, and so some of the clips that you may see is me really struggling because I really struggled to get into it, but I added like 80,000 words to it, and my editor really pushed me and helped me make this book what it is. It started off kind of like a sketch. Imagine like a black and white sketch versus now what it is like a 3D, painting. So it was a lot of work. So I wanted to be real with you guys and show you guys the progress. So there are days that I didn't want to edit. I wasn't into the story. I didn't think it was any good. A lot of insecurities there, but this is the progress of editing, and I wanted to take you guys on this journey with me. And right now Survivor's Kickstarter is going on, so if you click the link in the description below, you can find out what reward tier you want to do. There's the ebook, the paperback, and the hardback, and then there's bundles to get the Valiant series in ebook form, paperback form, and hardback form through the omnibus, which is books 1 through 5 because I don't have them in hardback yet. So check it out. Go find something that you want and support the Kickstarter, because this was a hard journey to get through to get to this. And H.A. Pruitt, my editor, helped me through this progress. Ren's Covers designed the covers. moymoy13.art on Instagram designed the illustrations that are going to be in the Kickstarter edition. And it's just like so many people worked so hard to make this happen. And so I wanted to shout out my editor, like all those people and everything, and the Kickstarter edition of Survivor. So check that out. It'll be in the description below, and I hope you enjoy this video. Hey guys, so it is editing Survivor day 4, and it's 9:20, and I started probably like shortly after, just after 7 o'clock. So it's been about 2 hours, which seems to be the norm. I was really dreading it at first. And so I had to force myself to start working, and I listened to me and my editor's recordings for chapter 1, and there was only like 2 or 3 of them. So I went ahead and listened to the recordings for chapter 2 and took notes for both of those and chapter 3. So I have like overall notes for the next 3 chapters. And so when I listened to it, okay, there's not much like hardcore stuff to fix. So, that kind of reassured me a little bit. So I read I edited chapter 1, and as I was editing, I found a place to naturally add in a new scene. So I wrote a scene that is 503 words, and it works really well, and I hope that it helps. And in total, I wanted to show you everything. Sorry. Okay, so in total, it was this actually is my thingy, so we'll color the next one in. But in total, I edited all of chapter 1, which is page 9 to page 17, which 17, the back of it is chapter 2, so I only have to page 16 here because the back of it I need it for chapter 2. But that is everything that I edited. And I did write it down in my little spreadsheet. So if you can see here, January 3rd, I wrote January 3rd, I edited 5,861 words. 503 of those was the new scene that I wrote. So in total, I'm at 10,821 words, and I just finished chapter 1, which when I made my other chart graph thing that I'm using to keep track of my editing progress, I did the orange line that was like my prediction, and I gave myself 2 days per chapter. And so I finished chapter 1 today, so tomorrow was supposed to be the rest of chapter 1. So basically I have an extra day. So let me plug in the data here and I'll show you guys. We go to edit data. Hopefully the blue line isn't underneath the orange, but we'll see. So that's prediction. So it's January 3rd, and I'm at chapter 2. So we're going to enter that, and then we're going to see. Looky there, we've risen above the prediction, so we'll see how it grows. So I'm going to save that. Don't look at that. That's a spoiler stuff. And I'm gonna put that in the folder, and then we're gonna write down to keep track of my editing here, and then we're gonna color in the bit I did today. So. Oh, I was like, I accidentally started writing editing Survivor day 4. Wait, is it day 4? Yes, it is. Okay, round 1, edited, chapter 1, added 503 words in new scene. So that keeps track of that. And then we also have I want to keep track in this thing as well. So, got that kept track of, and then we're gonna color in. Alright, we did blue yesterday. Let's do purple today. Mostly because those are my two favorite colors. I'm really into it. Again, I dreaded it beforehand, but sometimes it's like, Immortal was much longer, obviously. As you guys can see behind me, it was like 700 pages. It was 200,000 words, whereas Survivor is 125,000. So it's like, I don't know which side this goes on. But the thing is, and Immortal needed a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but like sometimes this one has a lot of work to it, because the challenges were all not well thought out, and there's so many characters to keep track of, and you want each one to be unique and to shine and everything, and that I also have to add more scenes from each character, from some of the characters that don't have as much screen time as the other one, so it just feels like more work that is harder to do. And also I was more into Immortal, and I still work on it as a TV show, the TV show scripts in the Lost Journal, so I'm still actively working on it, where Survivor I haven't thought about or worked in or written in years, so it's kind of difficult to get myself back into the headspace. But once I got started at editing the page, it went really smoothly, surprisingly, and I even got inspired for the scene on my own, and it was really fun to write, and I had a lot of fun actually editing, so big relief, huge relief there. So I will check in with you guys next time. Hey guys, so it's still day 4 of editing Survivor, and nothing new, obviously, because I finished my editing tonight, and I'm not going to do too much in one night, so chapter, it's good for me. I just realized I haven't talked specifically about what's going on, and I don't want to do too many spoilers, because obviously I want you guys to read the book, but the basic premise is that 50 people are captured and put into this competition to the death, and only 2 will make it out alive. So there's like 30 characters, and I have several POVs, so not as many as 30, probably about half that, but the others are still kind of like side characters. So each character I have made in a PowerPoint slide, but I basically have descriptions for each of them. I have personality traits for each of them, and most of them have certain ways of talking, especially the ones that have a lot of dialogue. Each of them have both a physical trait about them that stands out, so that readers can attach in their minds, like, oh, this is the person that has the tattoo, this is the person that, you know, blah blah blah. And also each character has a special quirk that they do, like, oh, okay, I remember him, he's the guy that fiddles with the coin in his hands all the time, or he's the guy that's always angry, or, you know, she's the one that's always afraid, you know, that sort of thing. So they each have things like that can attach themselves, like, she's the one with the red hair, to make it easier and stuff. And a lot of what I'm working on is basically like basic grammar, syntax, stuff like that. Obviously, but also like each character voice, making sure that they stand apart. There was like one incident where the first challenge that they participated in, it was, everybody was referring to it as the right to stay challenge, and not only is that kind of a weird phrase and not very clear, but we came up with, I came up with a better term that, like, because there's 3 different races, and one of the races is the ones that put on the games, but some of the characters are actually that race. Like, if you rebel against the Nyclimb regime, you're going to get put in the games too. So the Nyclimbs would refer to it as like the proper term, whereas the Wrens, for example, they're like, they live on the surface of the world, whereas the Nyclimbs live in the core, and so the surface is like a jagged, rugged terrain, wasteland, and they scrap together. It's like like a dump of like all these old spaceships and stuff, and so they scrap together things, so they're kind of rough around the edges, so they would call it something different. And so I changed that term, like little things like that that just kind of like will add extra flavor to make it really stand out. We wanted to make sure that the when they first make camp, that scene was well described, and since it's really based on the TV show Survivor, we wanted to make sure that it's not Fiji, because like anybody who's seen Survivor will kind of get that Survivor vibe and automatically start picturing Fiji near the beach and the ocean and the palm trees. And so I needed to make it a little bit more clear that it's a meadow in the middle of a forest, no ocean in sight. And then the first chapter tonight, what I worked on as well was chapter 1. And the big issue with chapter 1 was that it was a little slow, but that's good. Like, the first episode of Survivor is always going to be a little slow because you're introducing the character. So her main thing was like, take out anything that's repetitive. And she pointed out anything that she saw. And so I did have to add a scene because on top of that, I'm still, I don't want people to know who the winners are. And so therefore I need to make sure the screen time between all of the characters is even and include some extra plot lines and stuff like that. Basically to trick the readers. And so I have a few other characters that I want to shine a little bit more. And so that one of the scenes that I added was from another character to make sure that that character, I can start setting that character up early. So I added all of that, and yeah, that's basically it. There wasn't a whole lot like major, not like the last one, the prologue, the challenge itself had a lot of issues where it was like, oh, these things are just floating in the air, and like, how does that work? And my biggest problem with it was basically like, in my head canon, I was like, oh, okay, it's sci-fi, they're using this kind of technology, and I had specific thoughts for that, but I hadn't actually put that on the page. So I think subconsciously, because I don't write sci-fi very much or very well, I tend to lean more toward fantasy, medieval fantasy. I hadn't committed to actually putting it on the page. So my editor, one of the things that I'd listened to the recordings of was just go all in. So I did that and had to add it and fix all the descriptions at the same time, that like describing it differently in the way that whatever character would describe it as, because they're different people and things like that. So it's a lot to keep track of. And the recordings that we did, like we, after Survivor, we started a new chat specifically for editing, because we also talk normally and we record voice messages back and forth. So we have an editing chat starting with Remnant going forward, but our old messages for Survivor was still in our Survivor, like our main chat. So, and it was like back in July 31st when we started talking about it. So it's, you know, obviously January. And so we have talked a lot since then. So I had to use the search feature and go back and find everything. So a lot of the messages were really long, like the overall stuff. As I showed you guys, there was like 8,000 words of overall notes to keep track of for the whole book. And then, luckily the biggest thing with prologue was the challenge, which I fixed. And then this one, again, didn't really have too much big stuff. So yeah, it was really short to listen to. That's why I listened to the recordings for chapter 2 and 3, so that tomorrow and stuff, when I edit, I can just go straight into editing chapter 2 and chapter 3. So the chapter 4, I'll start listening to recordings again and go from there. And some days, if it's short, I'll listen to multiple chapters of recordings to make sure, because with Immortal, I listened to the recordings afterward to make sure I covered everything. But for me with this book, I need to know ahead of time. And so it's working better to do it that way, and then to double check myself. Okay, did I cover everything? That I do everything, that sort of thing. And so if there's a shorter chapter with not a lot of recordings, I'll probably listen to the next one and so on. If it's longer and there's a lot for one chapter, that's all I'm going to listen to and then start editing every day. So, excuse me. So basically, yeah, that's the gist of it. And I was just thinking about how much work Immortal seemed, and it seemed like so impossible to actually get it done. And yet it's here in my hands. And so it's just part of the motivation for me is imagining, because I already have the cover of Survivor. I haven't showed anyone, I don't think. Well, I don't remember if it's one that I've shown my editor, but either way, I haven't shown anybody. I haven't done a cover reveal. And so I have the cover so I can start to imagine it. And it's just like imagining it actually in my hands. Like, I can't wait. And the proofreading is going to be fun, because then most of the editing, like when I get this round done, I'll send it back to my editor. She'll do her round 2 and send it to me, and then I'll do my round 2, and that's when I'll format it and get a proof copy of it and start proofing it. And by then, most everything should be taken care of, but it's just like the last minute changes to make before I put it on pre-order or do a Kickstarter or whatever I'm doing. And so for me, that's going to be the exciting part, because then I'll be able to read it more instead of, because sometimes when I'm editing, it's like my editing brain is on. But anyways, I got to get back to editing a YouTube video, which is actually my vlog series as I edited Immortal the second round. And so as I was doing that, I was like, oh wait, I haven't gotten specific with Survivor. So I paused what I was doing to talk to you guys again, to talk to you guys about Survivor. And now I'm going to go back to editing that. So check in with you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to pledge to the Kickstarter. The link is down below. And if you liked this video, then check out the next one. It'll be here.